Duffy.
Present.
Present Council Capano.
Present.
Present Council Calucci.
Present.
Present Council Creighton.
Present.
Present Council Crowley.
Present.
Present Council Seer.
Present.
Present Council Duffy.
Present.
Present Council Ford.
Present.
Present Council Lozey.
Present.
Present Council Phelan.
Present.
Present Council Trahan.
Present.
Present 11 present.
Can we all please rise for a moment of silence? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Communications, we have none. No public hearings, none to be set down. No unfinished business. And committee reports, Public Safety Committee. The following individual was reappointed as Constable Melvin Lack, 313 Essex Street, Lynn.
Council Seer.
Everyone voted unanimously. Melvin was approved by the committee. Motion.
Made and seconded. Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
License Committee.
That's unanimous vote of the committee, Mr. President.
Motion to accept the report. Do I hear a second? Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. New business. Council Ford, can you come to the podium, please?
Tonight I'm saying goodbye to a couple of councilors, and I just wanted to say a few words. They're both Westland councilors. Steve, you like family?
Big trouble now, Rick.
I'm going to miss you. We worked on a lot of things together, and you were always around. We could talk, and I'm sure if you decide to come back into politics, you'll be a formidable force of coming back as you have been in the past. And I appreciate everything you did for me, co-sponsored with me, and while we worked together.
My pleasure. Thanks, Rick.
Steve, I'd like to echo the words of the Vice President of the Council. You and I served on the school committee together. You served 10 years, I believe, on the school committee and 4 years on the City Council. Come to know you, I think when we first met, you had jet black hair. And back in, I think, the early 1990s, serving on the school committee with the Honorable Mayor, who's with us tonight. During that time period, I've come to know you as a colleague, more importantly, a friend. And what I've seen over the years is your dedication to family, what you've done by taking care of your mother and father when they've both been ill. You have your brothers who work for you. You take care of your children and your grandchildren. And the real Steve Duffy, I think a lot of people know, but a lot of people don't know. And it was an honor to serve with you on both the school committee and the City Council, and it's my privilege to call you my friend. And so, my pleasure. So if you don't mind, we'd like to recognize you and have you say a couple words.
Finally addressed what I could. I was going to talk to you guys about this. Yeah, I know. What was the odds over under me showing?
I said a blood kid.
Listen, I just want to thank everybody, really. It means a lot to me. You guys have all been great. Wayne, you're doing a great job, just as your father did, and my father started with the back in the day. Danny, there's never been a dull moment sitting next to Dan Cahill during these meetings, let me tell you. Ricky, it's going to be about 40 years ago. Absolutely. Billy, you took a page out of Jack McDonald's book, and you've been living it ever since. You're doing a great job. You're a man of your word, and have a lot of admiration and respect for you, Billy, as well as your dad. Darren, you're never wondering what you're thinking. It just comes right, straight, direct. A lot like myself, but you're a lot better at doing it than I am. Darren, it's been a pleasure. Brendan, if people don't go a little, if you don't go further in politics, it's going to be a loss to the community and the state and everything else. You're a man of your word, you're young, you got your whole life ahead of you in politics, and you do a great job. And it's been a pleasure to meet you and call you my friend. Rich, I think the statue out in City Hall is inevitable in City Hall Square. The longest running politician in the system. Thank you, Rich. You you've always, you know, the texts, the calls, you've always had my back. I appreciated the advice. Paul, we graduated together and not much has changed. You're still dedicated, tenacious, and you just say what you think, and I respect that. You're a good guy. Pete, from chasing me around in '91 to being on the same committee with you, who would have thought? You, Crosby, in the gang, chasing me, school committee meeting after school committee meeting, but it was really a pleasure to be on the same committee with you, and you are a true gentleman, and you are a great guy. Thank you very much. T, thank you very much, as always. Keeping all of these guys in check must be a full-time job. And back in the day, thank you again. Thank you. Terry for bailing me out every time I call. Terry, what the hell is going on? Can you give me a hand and do this or that? Mary, you had some big shoes to fill when you came on as city clerk. Let me tell you, you did an outstanding job. Mr. Vitale, thanks for keeping me out of more trouble than I've already been in. And the mayor, I really like to thank you. You're doing a great job, and I'm very proud to call you my friend as well. I'll be eating at the same place. Prices are low.
It's over my elbow.
Let Judy go.
I've had one of these before.
One last thing, and I'm sorry. Losing is as many of us know, is not an easy thing to do. You need to live with it. You need to deal with it. It's hard. It bangs up your ego. But once you get all past that, and to lose to somebody like a gentleman like Hongnet and Buzzy Barton, I have no shame in that. And the city's going to be a better place as a result of that. Thank you, Hong. Thanks.
Paul Crowley, friend of mine, was in the restaurant all the time, we're very close. I just want to tell one quick story. I went away for a couple of weeks and I asked Paul if I could leave my phone number with him, and when I came back he said, "You get a lot of calls." But Paul's a great guy. Another, like Steve, it's going to be kind of the same speech. He was an asset to me. The Barry Park parking lot, I mean, it's just endless the things we did. Making more parking down there, co-sponsoring bills together. Paul was always there for me. And he's a great guy. And again, I'll say it, Paul, if you make it come back, the large field is crazy, and I'm sure you'll be an admirable opponent coming back. And thank you for everything, and you're a good friend.
Paul, a lot of people don't know that you and I have been playing basketball against each other for, actually, with each other for years. But I can really say, besides casual hello and small talk, that we didn't get to know each other until we served on the council together. And what people don't know are the many, probably dozens, if not hundreds of phone calls that you and I would have, analyzing things and debating with each other, and really you putting me in my place and me valuing your opinion. And you served on the council for 6 years. During that time period, you became the executive director of Greater Lynn Senior Services, which is a monumental undertaking for the people of the city and for Greater Lynn. I don't know how you were able to do both jobs as well as you've done both jobs since you took over that position. One of the things that I do know is you're not going anywhere. That job is a very important job in the city. It's a very active job in the city, and you'll probably put more time in there because of no longer serving on the council. But as I mentioned to you after the election, I'm looking forward to continuing to call you and having you put me in my place when I ask you advice. And one of the things that I always valued about speaking with you is you didn't say what I wanted to hear. You gave me your opinion, and if we had a disagreement, we kept that between ourselves, and we were able to, I think, educate each other from the different perspectives. And I think that's an ability that's going to be lost on this council when you leave. Not that other people don't have that, but you bring a lot of that to the council. You're not afraid to say what you speak, and you're not afraid to back up what you say with actions. And that's going to be missed. And you're a quality person, you're a quality individual, you're a great father, and again, someone I consider a friend. So I'm not going to say I'm going to miss you, because I'm sure I'm going to see you along the way very often. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to serve with you. Thank you.
President, before you let Paul speak, can you make sure he fixes my train? I gave him an HL train like a year ago, and he's supposed to fix it for me. Now he's got the time to do it.
For my last official act, I'm going to issue a council order asking the building department to take a look at your train. How's that?
I thought it was going to be in 4x.
Oh, I'd love to win the 4x. Well, thank you, Rick, Tim. I appreciate your kind words. It means a lot to me that you appreciated the hard work and effort that I put into being on City Council. I certainly tried my hardest while I was on the council to do everything that I could to advance the cause for the city, for its residents, for the taxpayers, and for the voters. There's no doubt in my mind that this council that I served on for the past 6 years shared many of the same beliefs that I had with respect to the best interests of the city. In fact, I would say that the 6 years that I've been on the council, I've been surrounded by some pretty damn good people, councilors, Mayor, Terry, Mary, Rick. Everybody has really impressed me. And I've got to say that when I first got on the council, actually, just to take a step back, the reason I ran for City Council was because I didn't like some of the things that had happened to my family in doing business with the city. So I came in with kind of a chip on my shoulder. I came in maybe a little unsuspecting of the good people here. I was kind of expecting something a lot different than was actually here. In fact, what I found was there were an awful lot of very good people on the council, the department heads, the people that work in the city. By and large, they truly care about the city like I do. They think about the best interests of the city every day, and I think that's very important. But before I wrap up, I did want to thank my family, my wife and my daughter. They put up a lot with me for the past 6 years. Essentially, they had to share me with the city, and for that I'll always be very grateful. If you're home and watching tonight, thank you. Biddy, thank you. Emmy. I also wanted to thank my supporters. There were a lot of hardworking and dedicated supporters who were very disappointed, as was I, in the results of this year's election. They worked their butts off for me. I wasn't up to the challenge, and I had a very formidable opponent on that. Congratulations on that. You're going to do a great job, by the way, I can tell. Sit right there next to Peter and keep him in Rich in line for me. You know, it's funny, think it was Richard told me one time, when I was first on the council, he mentioned it was something that happened in the vote, and I didn't understand it. It was very new council, and you know, I was taking 1 and 1 and coming up with 2, but the answer was 4. And if you can just understand what I'm trying to say, that is, it didn't all add up to me. I didn't understand why the vote went the way it went, and so I tapped Rich on the shoulder and I said, "What happened there?" And he said, "Paul, that's politics." And I got to tell you, politics is an interesting thing. In fact, I've got 6 years of experience on the city council, engaged in city business, and I learned an awful lot about how things work around here, how things don't work, and so forth. In fact, if I were ever to write my memoirs, I would probably title it, "That's Politics," because it clearly there are a lot of things about what go on in everyday that aren't always what they seem, you know. And but I will say that in spite of that, I would, you know, coming into my role as a city councilor, I wasn't all that impressed with city government, politicians, and so forth. But what I've learned is that each and every one of you members that I've served with, and president, vice president, mayor, have a lot of integrity and do the right thing for the city all the time, and I'm very glad to have served with you. There's a couple things I have to say, and I just got to check my notes to make sure that I haven't left anything out. I guess what I'm just going to leave you with one thing, if I can. Always remember, and this is for you too, Hong, that we as councilors, as mayors, as elected officials, as public servants, are not very important people. But I'll tell you, the work we do is incredibly important. And I want you all to take that home with you and think about it. Our work is more important than we are, and we always need to remember that. Thank you. You get one, Steve?
Yeah. Oh.
Steve.
No, yes. Well, I gotta say, I think Lynn Tech has the upper hand on council members. I think there's more Lynn Tech councilors, at least today, than there are any other school in the city. 4, 5. Pete, Rich, where are you? He didn't graduate.
I got a TEJ. Oh, that's a smile. Very rich, didn't graduate.
Lawrence.
Just the last order of business, I'd like to invite Her Honor the Mayor, Judith Flanagan Kennedy, up to say a couple of words.
another planned visit. I just had the privilege of serving with both of the gentlemen who are leaving tonight, and I wanted to wish them well. To Councilor Crowley, we served one term together on the City Council, but I thought it was the most fruitful 2 years, and more importantly, I got to know how smart you are and how dedicated you are, and that certainly carried on in our relationship when I took over this job as mayor. I appreciate everything that you have done for the city, and I know that you're not going anywhere because not only are you the executive director of GLIS, you are also very involved with the Lynn Tech alumni, and so this is by far not the last we have heard from you. And I really want to tell everybody who's out there listening a little story that happened with Paul Crowley over this past week. And this is something that he will probably take no credit for and probably wouldn't have wanted any publicity for, but I'm going to tell it anyway. And forgive me if I embarrass you, Paul. But it tells you, really speaks to the kind of man you are. We got a call a couple of days before Christmas from a family who had a wheelchair-bound brother living in a nursing home in Melrose, and they really wanted to get their brother back home for Christmas. This very well, he's in hospice, this could very well be his last Christmas. And they had not been able to secure any sort of transportation for the brother, and time was running out. And on the Friday before Christmas, I reached out to Paul and just asked if there was any way he would have wheelchair transportation available for this individual. And at 12:30, just as City Hall was closing, there was a knock on my door, and Councilor Crowley was there and told me that he was able to help the family. And for a man to do that is really extraordinary. So I thank you for that, and I thank you for the service to the city. And Councilor Duffy and I started back in 1991 together on the school committee. It was our first foray into politics, and yes, you did have black hair back then. And I think mine was a different color too, but we don't really want to talk about that. But I've always enjoyed serving with you. We had probably 3 terms on the school committee together and a couple of terms on the city council together, and another man who has always looked out for the best interests of the citizens in Lynn. And I have to say, I've known Councilor Duffy for longer than that, because when he was a teenager, and a very cute teenager he was dating...
Before I died, my hair gray, right?
He was dating the girl that lived over my back fence. So I got to know him as a back fence neighbor way back in the early 1970s. And he's another man who's not going anywhere. I congratulate you both on your terms of service, and I know it's a bittersweet moment because I've been up here when I've received one of those plaques, and it is tough in a way. It's a relief, but it doesn't mean that you can't keep helping out with the city. I'm sure you both will. And to Hongnet, I look forward to working with you. If you are going to take that seat where Councilor Crowley is, I used to sit there as well, right next to Councilor Colucci. The best way to keep Councilor Colucci busy during a meeting is give him a topic to doodle. And you say, show me a jungle scene. And he will doodle a fantastic jungle scene. He's really a fantastic drawer, and I personally like to doodle, but mine is mostly circles and X's, and he'll create an entire artistic landscape for you. But anyway, to both of you, thank you so much for serving, and I look forward to serving with the rest of you in 2012. And thank you, Mr. President, for allowing me to speak.
Councilor Crowley, do you have a motion?
Yeah, if I could, I'd like to make a motion to speak on the whole business. I have some, no. Motion to adjourn.
Seconded by Councilor Duffy. All those in favor? Hey, if you guys ever need anything, call your work counselor, please.